I masqueraded as a boy to meet someone who I thought was masquerading as a girl. In my wild youth, I had declared my gender as male on my social media account. The result was a charming girlfriend who had been my constant companion for 2 years and had now expressed a desire to meet. To avoid any regrets, I donned a wig, added height-increasing insoles to my shoes, put on a masculine outfit, and headed to our meeting spot. Suddenly, I saw Celeste, towering at 1.8 m, wearing a pink and white lace Lolita dress, a forced smile on her face. The chime of a wind bell echoed as I stepped into the cafe. The interior was decorated in a cute pink and white theme. Next to me was a large mirror plastered with colorful sticky notes. Through a gap between the notes, I spotted a cool guy with short black hair and two girls discreetly holding up their phones. I turned and smiled at them. As expected, they quickly lowered their phones, giggling, their faces a mix of embarrassment and excitement. I was immensely pleased. It was certainly worth the 3 days of discussion and 8 revisions my dorm mates and I had put into perfecting this image. It looked simple and casual on the outside, but every detail was meticulously calculated. From the wig to the 10 cm insoles, everything was high quality, ensuring comfort and leaving no room for error. I ordered 2 coffees, chose a seat near the window, sat down gracefully, then took a picture, edited it, and sent it. "Sheriff Black Cat, I'm here, waiting for you by the window wearing black." The photo showed the street outside, a part of the table, my hand bathed in sunlight, and my black sleeve. The atmosphere, composition, and lighting, all perfect. I secretly patted myself on the back. As soon as I sent it, the other party appeared online as Celeste. "Yes, I'm on my way." "I brought you some cake. It's me holding the box, Sheriff Black Cat." "No need to rush. Take your time. I've already ordered your favorite caramel macchiato." She didn't say anything, just sent a sticker of a little rabbit blowing a kiss. So cute, I instantly saved it. Honestly, if it weren't for the gender issue being discovered too late and being hard to explain, given how often we talked, we would have met and held hands much sooner. A sigh escaped me at the thought. Ring-ling-ling, the wind chime jingled again. I casually turned my head and saw someone holding a beautifully packaged box of strawberry cake. The gift box was adorned with 2 cute rabbit decorations. She tilted her head, obscuring her face, revealing only a light pink Lolita dress. Though a Lolita dress, it wasn't overly complex, quite simple in design. The skirt fell past her knees, its hem and cuffs decorated with white lace. A gray belt cinched her waist, highlighting her slender figure. I froze, my heart pounding erratically. Though I hadn't seen her face, I was certain this was the person I was supposed to meet today. Sure enough, she stopped and walked towards me. I quickly pulled out a chair and stood up to greet her. The distance narrowed, her figure growing larger and larger. Wait, she seemed a bit too tall. The girl who looked slender and delicate from a distance was much taller when standing in front of me. Now my eyes only reached the bridge of her high nose. This wasn't good. "So I thought you were a tiny white rabbit, but it turns out you're an Arctic rabbit." "Celeste, no. The Arctic rabbit and I became acquainted very simply. My family ran a women's fashion business with over 10 traditional and online stores, and sales were quite good. Only one online store, specializing in Lolita dresses, was struggling. The embarrassing part was that I had suggested to my mother that we open that store. So, to make up for it, right after graduating high school 2 years ago, I seized the opportunity of my summer vacation to start my earth-shattering sales career. To sell, the most important thing, of course, was customers. But where to find them? I targeted my QQ account. Speaking of QQ, one cannot ignore the main source of gender misunderstanding. In high school, I loved cosplay. With my 1.7 m height and good makeup skills, I often transformed into strong male characters. Once, during a chat, a friend in the group complained about being harassed by her ex-boyfriend. The whole group discussed it and finally decided that I should pretend to be her current boyfriend. To make it more believable, I wore male clothes, took many couple photos with her, and changed my relationship status to "in a relationship." My gender was also changed at this time. Anyway, everyone knew I was a girl, and if anyone mistook me in real life, I would explain immediately. So, just in case, I didn't change it back and went back to selling. Thanks to my passion for cosplay, I made countless friends with shared interests, a truly impressive number. I tried posting photos of Lolita dresses on my personal page daily and unexpectedly attracted a lot of attention. Celeste was one of them. She was 2 years younger than me, a pure and energetic girl, perhaps a little naive. I'm not sure how she found me, but ever since she appeared, she remained my most loyal customer. Every month, she ordered at least 7 or 8 dresses, sometimes up to a dozen. I thought she was buying in bulk for resale until she sent me a screenshot of her bank account balance with 7 digits, saying it was just her pocket money. I was speechless, and, out of helplessness, could only awkwardly remind her not to casually post balance screenshots online as it could easily lead to scams. She nodded obediently, yet the truth was she posted everything she should and shouldn't. Within a mere couple of weeks, I learned that her mother passed away early. Her father was busy with work, gave her a lot of money, but was very strict. Every day she had to attend various classes, so she didn't have many friends, only a younger sister 3 years her junior with whom she was close. Not only that, whenever she wore a new dress, she would take photos and send them to me. Even just showing the hem of the dress and her legs was enough to reveal her fair skin, slender waist, and long legs. I assumed she knew I was a girl, so each time I praised her lavishly, met her emotional needs, and even showed her how to style her outfits beautifully. We chatted happily like this for a month until one day, she asked if she could call me Hyung, older brother. In that moment, I got goosebumps, as if I had just finished a black tap dance routine. I rejected her. Afterward, I reviewed our entire chat history. My profile indeed showed that I had never revealed to her that I was a girl. I looked at my personal page again and found it filled with photos of me cosplaying as male characters. The more I looked, the more panicked I became. Innocent, beautiful, wealthy, underage, seemingly emotionally deprived, a combination rare enough to be a national treasure. Moreover, if she truly thought I was a boy, it meant she dared to send personal photos to someone she had only known online for 2 months. Although the photos so far weren't concerning, what if she unfortunately encountered bad men and was pressured into sending sensitive things? After a moment of thought, I was confused whether to talk about gender first or just advise her on online security. I decided to teach her about safety first. What if after explaining my gender, she got angry and deleted me from her friends list, and I wouldn't be able to guide her anymore? Therefore, for the next month, I dedicated all my time to sharing online scam cases with her, along with sincere advice. I mentioned, but wasn't limited to, not revealing her address or contact information, avoid sending bank account balances or lending money easily, and most importantly, absolutely avoid sending random photos. She reacted with annoyance. "Not even to you?" I replied firmly. "No, not even to me." "Why? You're still naive and haven't recognized the hidden risks in the online world." "I'm not naive." Yes, you're not naive. You're the oldest." I said, letting the matter pass, then asked again, "Have you remembered what I told you?" "Yes." I nodded with satisfaction, then began to tackle the second issue, gender. My friend had completed her studies and was about to enter university. I informed her a little in advance, then put on my own dresses and subtly posted a series of female fashion photos on my personal page, both to promote the store and to clarify the truth. It was truly killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I waited for Celeste to ask questions or directly unfriend me, but no reaction came from her side. Having no other choice, I sent a message myself. "There are new arrivals today. You can check my profile to see if you like anything." After a few minutes, she replied, "Wow, the pictures on your profile are stunning. I want to order one of each style." "What? Why? It's not available." "Ah, a quick pain is better than prolonged torment, better no pain at all. Even if this relationship was only online, who knows, we might lose contact. So why not create a good memory?" I thought positively, and so we talked nonstop for 2 years. From small daily matters to life's concerns, from funny videos to interesting gadgets, I regarded her as my online younger sister. I had also tried to keep my distance, but whenever I became a little distant, she would immediately ask, "Why aren't you replying to me today? Are you sad about something? Did I do something wrong?" Honestly, I found it hard to hold out until the third question. I usually surrendered by the second. During that time, she also expressed a desire to meet in person, but I always found excuses to refuse. She seemed to understand my rejection, so she subtly stopped bringing it up. Until I entered my 3rd year of university, she carefully messaged, "I might be going to study abroad soon. Could we possibly meet once?" I froze. Without thinking, I replied immediately, "Okay, let's meet." People really shouldn't act on impulse. Agreeing was easy, but preparation was torture. Cross-dressing as a boy wasn't difficult for me, only my voice was the problem. So I specially spent a few days studying voice acting tutorials. A few days later, my roommate commented, quite kindly, that it sounded like I was choking. Well, it was still better than saying nothing at all. So I diligently practiced for half a month until the day of our meeting. Speaking of which, initially, I intended to go to her city. After all, I was older and temporarily a boy, but she insisted that she had a house here and friends she knew. So the meeting location was decided to be in my city. Our schedule was simple: meet at the cafe, then watch a movie, and finally have dinner together. For me, this was like going on a date with a girlfriend, except this time I had to play the role of a good, caring older brother. But I didn't expect the surprise that awaited me. I took a step back, unable to believe my eyes, sweeping my gaze from her head to toe. Her glossy black hair was that of a sweet young lady, her face as delicate as a doll's, truly a sweet young lady. Her dress was beyond reproach, truly a symbol of gentleness and grace. I focused on her feet, black ballet flats with no hidden insoles, just slightly wide, which also suited a young lady. I took a deep breath, lowered my voice, and asked, "Luca's Yun, right?" Yes, we've known each other's real names for a long time. It would be ridiculous to use aliases in a crowded place, wouldn't it? Hearing my question, she slightly bowed her head, looking at me as if appraising me. A few seconds later, she nodded, offering a somewhat forced smile. Although unspoken, I understood why that smile wasn't natural. What kind of family has an older brother half a head shorter than his younger sister? I thought indignantly, wishing I had worn 15 cm insoles. After a brief shock, we sat opposite each other. For some reason, the atmosphere was a little awkward. I took a sip of coffee, found my voice, and was about to speak when I saw her pick up her phone and type. Immediately after, my phone vibrated twice. "Sorry, I have a bit of a sore throat lately. Min Dung, let's talk on the phone, okay?" Looking at this message, I froze, feeling a strange familiarity. Why was this excuse so similar to the one I intended to use? Crazy thoughts suddenly flashed through my mind. I slowly lifted my head, pretending to casually glance at her neck, and noticed she was wearing a pink necklace. In the center was a butterfly, its wings gently fluttering with every movement, quite beautiful. I wondered where she bought it. Distracted for a moment, I temporarily pushed aside the suspicion in my heart and typed a message of concern. "Okay, but will drinking coffee upset your stomach? Should we switch to milk?" "No, it's fine. It's just my voice will be a little hoarse, and I don't want you to hear it." I was stunned, looking up at her. She seemed a little shy, deliberately raising her coffee cup to cover half her face, blinking anxiously. In that moment, all my suspicions vanished, replaced by a deep sense of guilt. Oh dear, how could I have doubted her? She was clearly a delicate, graceful girl. Suspecting others of stealing an axe was the most accurate description of my feelings at that moment. Here I was, disguised as a man, yet suspecting someone else of disguising as a woman. How illogical, utterly illogical. Why couldn't a girl be tall? What was wrong with a girl wearing slightly large shoes? I was shorter than her because of my shoe insoles, not her fault. Carrying that shame, I became even more enthusiastic. I proactively opened the cake box and arranged slices on a plate. It was a pretty little 4-inch cake, just enough for two. Before cutting the cake, I saw her carefully take out her phone and snap a few pictures from different angles before starting to divide it. We ate cake and chatted via text. Already used to talking online, we quickly became as close as before. Sweet cake, light coffee, and a confidant. It was truly a perfect afternoon tea. Feeling full, I checked my watch. There was about half an hour until the movie started. Leaving now would be perfect. So I texted, "Movie time is almost here, let's get ready. There's a nice accessory shop on the way, we could stop by, I'm sure you'll like it." "Really? Then wait a moment for me, I want to touch up my lipstick." With that, she took out a mirror and lipstick from her bag. Watching her skilled application of lipstick, and then remembering my foolish suspicions earlier, I silently apologized in my heart. Until she put down the mirror and smiled at me, I saw the thick, smudged layer of lipstick on her lips and couldn't help but take a deep breath. Oh my God, what was this? Perhaps my expression was too obvious. Lucas Yun's mouth, which had just curved up, drooped down, turning into a sad and wronged expression. She quickly typed on her phone, "I'm sorry, I actually don't know how to do makeup. Today, a friend helped me. Are you disappointed in me?" Seeing her pouting emoji, I immediately softened and consoled her. How could I be? Not knowing how to do makeup is very common. If you like it, you can wait until university and gradually practice. After a moment of thought, I added, "Besides, I think your makeup is still very cute." The other person remained typing for a while, then finally sent a shy rabbit sticker covering its face and asked, "So what should I do now?" "Just wipe it off and reapply. It's very easy. Let me help you," I replied casually. After all, when participating in cosplay, it was common for people to help each other with makeup. But after saying it, I realized it might be inappropriate. Because I was currently playing a male role, would she think I was taking advantage of the situation? I quickly typed to explain, but she had already replied cheerfully, "Really? Then please help me a little." With that, a tube of lipstick was immediately held out in front of me. Well, if she didn't mind, then I didn't need to be shy either. I stood up and moved closer to her, gently holding her chin up. She seemed a little uncomfortable, her body stiff and her eyelashes constantly fluttering. Why did it feel like I was flirting with her? Startled by this strange thought, I unconsciously hastened my movements. I used a wet tissue to wipe off the messy lipstick on her lips, then took the lipstick and drew along the contours of her lips. Her lips were delicate but beautifully shaped. It didn't take much effort for me to define the outline. Then I dotted lipstick in the center and on both sides, using my finger to blend it evenly for her. It was a dark pink lipstick that turned into a light pink shade when blended. Luca's Yun suddenly opened her eyes, and for some unknown reason her cheeks were also flushed pink. The wind chimes tinkled clearly. I heard the two girls from earlier whispering, "So sweet, they've coupled up, how incredible, I need to learn this trick." "Wait a minute, don't learn anything recklessly, I was just helping her with her makeup." The atmosphere became strangely indescribable. Awkwardly, I put down the lipstick, picked up my phone, and decided to change the subject immediately. "Done. Let's go watch the movie, or we'll be late." She nodded continuously, her face flushed, then grabbed her bag and left the cafe with me. We walked silently to the cinema. I had already booked tickets on my phone for a horror movie. There was also a romantic film showing at the same time, but when I asked Luca's Yun for her opinion, she insisted on choosing the horror movie. At the time, I found it strange and asked, "Didn't you say you're very scared of this genre?" "Ah, yes, but since you're with me, I want to challenge myself." Wanting to experience it with her, I naturally went along happily. After all, I wasn't scared of such things. I bought the tickets and a box of popcorn, then went with her to the best viewing area. Horror movies usually have few viewers. Besides us, there were only a few scattered couples. Clearly, their minds weren't on the movie. Sure enough, not long after the film started, they were practically glued together like magnets. I suddenly felt restless. Damn it, if only I had chosen a different movie. Wouldn't this affect the kids? Luca's Yun had just turned 18. I nervously glanced over and found her intently watching the screen, seemingly oblivious to her surroundings. I breathed a sigh of relief and began to focus on the movie's content. It was a typical American horror film. A large mansion, a foolish caretaker, a frail wife, a mischievous child, and a spooky doll that looked ominous from the start. The plot was nothing new. The doll appeared, people died, accompanied by screams and creepy music. This repeated until everyone was gone. Because the plot was so boring, I did only two things throughout the movie. First, eat popcorn. Second, watch Luca's Yun. It must be said, watching a timid person watch a horror movie was a unique pleasure. When the first person died, Luca's Yun's face turned pale and she leaned back. When the second person died, Luca's Yun squeezed my hand tightly, trembling. When the third person died, Luca's Yun's psychological defenses completely crumbled. She pressed close to me, burying her face in my neck, looking as if she would rather die than watch anymore. Since she was taller than me, this pose looked very strange. She seemed terrified, her breathing rapid, her warm breath tickling my neck. I actually wanted to laugh, but considering her state, I held it in. Unable to continue observing Luca's Yun's reactions, I looked around. The couples from earlier had now moved into the fake husband and wife stage. They cuddled together, finding peace amidst the chilling sounds. It was just that this posture felt a little familiar. I looked at them, then back at the top of Luca's Yun's head, exactly the same. My smile slowly faded. It was then that I slowly realized that, at this moment, I was supposed to be a boy. Something was wrong with this distance. I couldn't blame myself for forgetting this. Actually, when I cosplayed, I often played male roles and became close with female friends. Especially when taking photos for promotional purposes, I would naturally perform close gestures. Over time, I no longer felt the boundary with the female gender. But the important thing was, why was Luca's Yun so comfortable? Could it be that she had ignored all my previous warnings? How careless. I felt like the cabbage I had meticulously nurtured was about to be ruined by some pig. My heart was uneasy. Of course, I wasn't that pig, but another pig, especially since she was about to go abroad, perhaps even a foreign pig. Abroad, I suddenly thought of a distant place. With this personality going abroad, it was truly worrying. I constantly cared about her. Perhaps because she was younger, or because she trusted me too much, or perhaps the real reason was that her mother passed away early and my father also died in a car accident when I was young. My mother loved me very much. I knew that, but I also knew she was very busy. Busy with business, busy making money, busy supporting the family. So I was also very busy. Busy studying, busy growing up, busy not bothering my mother. My mother worried about my safety at school. I switched from a gifted class to studying taekwondo for 6 years. My mother felt guilty for not having time with me, so I made friends everywhere, and every holiday was filled with laughter. I wanted to tell my mother, I'm fine, so Mom, don't worry about me. I graduated, got into my dream university, studied fashion design, and became the person I wanted to be. Looking back, I had no regrets, but when I saw Luca's Yun in a similar situation, I couldn't help but worry about her. Worried she would be deceived, worried she would be lonely, worried she was trying to cope just like I did back then. The 10 lights in the cinema suddenly flickered on. I blinked, realizing the movie had reached the end of the credits. Luca's Yun waved her hand in front of me, her eyes full of worry. She raised her phone towards me. The screen showed a series of unread messages. Are you okay? Was the horror movie that bad? Was I too scared and bothered you? Seeing this, I quickly shook my head. No, I just suddenly remembered something. She breathed a sigh of relief and smiled brightly. Perfect. The movie's over, let's go? I nodded in agreement. There was half a box of popcorn left. I reached out to take it, but Luca's Yun quickly snatched it. She held the popcorn bucket in one hand and my outstretched hand in the other, blending into the crowd leaving the cinema. The whole action was fluid and seamless, without a hint of awkwardness. It wasn't until she had led me a few steps that I suddenly realized something was wrong. I looked down at her hand, fair, slender, with clearly defined knuckles. A very beautiful hand, just a bit large, but considering her height, large hands weren't unusual. At this moment, my mood had completely stabilized, and I even saw this as a good opportunity to remind her to maintain a certain distance, but it wasn't convenient to say it in a crowded place. It wasn't until we were out of the cinema that I gently shook her hand. Luca's Yun turned in surprise. Seeing our hands intertwined, a look of bewilderment clearly appeared on her face. She quickly let go of my hand and typed an explanation. I'm sorry, I just didn't want us to get lost, so. Her eyelashes trembled slightly and she carefully asked, You're not angry with me, are you? Of course, I wasn't angry about such a minor thing. After all, she meant well. However, this was a good opportunity, so I immediately typed a reminder. I'm fine, but others might misunderstand, so you need to be careful next time. Before the message could be sent, a loud scream suddenly rang out. Catch the thief! I spun around towards the sound, only to see a gray figure darting through the crowd towards us. Without thinking, I shoved my phone into Luca's Yun's hand. Then I stepped forward, blocking her. Shouts from the crowd erupted continuously. I frowned, estimating the distance. 20 m, 10 m, 5 m. When the thief's face became clear, I leaned in, bent my knee, and launched a kick. Amidst the cheers of the crowd, I powerfully kicked him in the chest. But I forgot one thing. Today I was wearing platform shoes. As a result, while the thief tumbled down, I also lost my balance and fell to the ground. I reacted very quickly, intending to get up immediately, but at that exact moment my ankle throbbed in pain. I had sprained it. The situation worsened when the thief stood up first. His eyes were fierce, clearly enraged. He raised his fist and lunged towards me. In a flash, a bucket of popcorn flew through the air, hitting him squarely on the head. Thwack! The thief collapsed to the ground. A pair of black loafers appeared, leisurely stepping on his shoulder. I sank onto the floor, my eyes fixed on Luca's Yun, who stood behind the thief, still with that exquisite beauty. Her eyes now radiated a coldness, accompanied by a voice full of resentment. Do you want to die? Afterwards, I felt like a lost soul, staring blankly as the thief was dragged away by security, soullessly shaking the victim's hand in thanks, mindlessly letting Luca's Yun carry me weight. I plumped down onto a long bench, slapped his outstretched hand. Luca's Yun widened his eyes, his lips pressed together in confusion, looking incredibly fragile and pitiful. If I hadn't witnessed it myself, I wouldn't have believed he had just thoroughly beaten up a robber. I looked him straight in the eye, took a deep breath, and slowly asked, Do you have gender identity issues? He flinched, looking down. No. Do you like wearing dresses? No. All right, then I've been fooled. All the anomalies I had previously overlooked now clearly resurfaced in my mind, mocking my foolishness. Those large hands, the disguised throat, the overly smooth hair. And he listened to me without any surprise. He had known I was a girl all along, while I foolishly regarded him as someone to be cherished. I didn't know whether to be angry, disheartened, or both. I had nothing left to ask. I turned away, my voice icy. Let's stop here for today. I'm going home. With that, I braced myself against the chair, stood up, and limped towards the sidewalk. I hadn't taken many steps when a figure approached. Immediately after, I was lifted into the air. Without hesitation, I delivered a slap. Of course, I controlled my strength, but Lucas Yun's head still snapped to the side. Instantly, a red mark appeared on his fair face, yet he only tightened his grip around me. Put me down, I snapped. What do you want? Your leg is injured, it needs to be treated immediately. Oh, I sneered, you're truly a kind girl. I dropped the fake, cold smile. Did that make you happy? If so, put me down. I'm tired of this meaningless game. It's not a game, Lucas Yun stammered, unable to continue. Anyway, I'll explain everything to you. His voice was soft, laced with a plea. Can we go to the hospital first? I softened again. After all, he was someone who had genuinely cared, someone with whom I had shared late-night conversations. Those memories were too vivid. How could I easily discard them? I let out a long sigh, closed my eyes, and with a tired heart said, It's nothing serious, just find a clinic for an ice pack. Fortunately, there was a small clinic right at the end of the pedestrian street. Lucas Yun quickly carried me in. Inside, an elderly doctor slowly looked up, seemed surprised to see us, then smiled kindly. Haha, this girl is quite strong. I looked at the ceiling, not daring to predict what would happen next. Sure enough, Lucas Yun didn't hide anything and spoke bluntly. Doctor, she just sprained her ankle. Could you please check if it's serious? Does she need to go to the hospital? The smile on the doctor's face froze. He looked at Lucas Yun, then at me, falling into an awkward silence. I just wanted to cover his mouth but managed to explain, Doctor, we're just cosplaying. Playing characters, you know, he just likes to play a female role. Oh, I see. The doctor understood. My granddaughter also likes these things. Her house is full of costumes. She cherishes them like treasures. He quickly ended the conversation, stood up, and said to Lucas Yun, Girl, no, boy, come with me to check. Lucas Yun placed me on the examination bed. After examining me, the doctor took out an ice pack. It's not too serious. Ice for 20 minutes, I'll bandage it up lightly, and it should heal in about 2 weeks. With that, he returned to his desk to continue his work. Only the two of us remained in the room. Lucas Yun pulled up a chair and sat next to the bed, silently holding the ice pack to my leg. Finally, he spoke. Actually, I haven't finished what I was saying. I cut him off. Aren't you hot wearing such a heavy wig? He paused, understood, and immediately said, Let me go change. I nodded, holding the ice pack myself. He stood up and walked out. Before he had taken 2 steps, he suddenly turned back, his voice hesitant. You won't take this opportunity to run away, will you? I just wanted to burst out laughing. Looking him straight in the eyes, I replied sincerely, Do you think I can run away in this state? He couldn't help but smile, his eyes curving. Wait for me, I'll be right back. I thought right back was just an expression, but unexpectedly, he was truly fast. Just as I took off my wig and adjusted my hair, the room door opened. A tall figure walked in, carrying a few bags. As soon as I glimpsed a black wig inside one of the bags, I snapped my head up. It was still that handsome face, but after wiping off the makeup that softened his features, his beauty became colder, more defined. In other words, the sweet young lady had transformed into a mountain belle, but this belle was not at all aloof. He walked in with a wide grin. Lucas Yun quickly approached and sat opposite me. He wore a simple white shirt paired with black pants, and his forehead still had traces of water, perhaps from quickly washing his face. However, this only highlighted his refined beauty like flawless jade. I suddenly remembered an online comment. Indeed, whether male or female, they're both top tier. Lucas Yun took out a box, inside which was a pair of pristine white athletic shoes. He looked at me, his voice full of expectation. I thought you'd be more comfortable in these, so I bought a pair. I picked them up. The shoe size was perfectly fitted. Not knowing how to respond, I just said thank you. Lucas Yun's mouth corners drooped slightly, his face showing disappointment. The space fell into an unusual silence. I sighed, put the shoes down, and proactively asked, Tell me, what is it really about? Lucas Yun hesitated for a moment, then spoke. You know, I have a younger sister, 3 years younger. I remember you said you two were very close. Yes, actually, I know her too. Her nickname is Flickering Lightbulb. Hearing the familiar name, I fell silent. Do you mean the girl at the cosplay event who hugged a doll and yelled, "Teacher, I brought my child to visit you," and then threw herself into my arms? Recalling Lucas Yun's actions today, my expression gradually became strange. So she's your sister. In a way, I gently commented, you two are quite similar. No, his voice was cold. She and I are completely different. Lucas Yun's sister, Q, was 3 years younger than him. Their mother passed away early and their father was busy with work. The two siblings grew up together. A 3-year age gap was peculiar. Aside from 3 shared years in elementary school, their remaining time rarely coincided. The older they got, the fewer common topics they had, and communication gradually dwindled. Yet their bond remained very strong. According to Lucas Yun, his sister was beautiful, articulate, lively, wealthy, and everyone adored her. Until one summer day in high school, he accidentally saw his sister's phone screen and discovered she was always confessing her feelings to a man. Words like "too handsome," "love you," "like you" appeared, making him frown. More frighteningly, the man was 5 years older than his sister. Even more terrifying, the man had even kissed his sister's cheek, utterly terrifying, and it seemed the man even had a girlfriend. Lucas Yun only knew about his studies and had never encountered such complicated matters. What a scoundrel, a pervert, an animal, but he quickly regained his composure. The urgent matter was to question his sister. Who knows, he told himself, there might be some misunderstanding. Immediately, Lucas Yun grabbed his phone and went to find his sister. At this time, Q was tidying up the doll battleground in her room. Witnessing the revealed cheek kiss, she wasn't angry at all. Instead, she excitedly showed off. "See, Hyung, isn't he handsome? I really like him." "What are you thinking?" Lucas Yun couldn't restrain himself and shouted, "He's 5 years older than you." "So what?" Q didn't care. "He's still young. He just got into a prestigious university this year. That guy has a girlfriend already, you don't understand anything." Q waved her hand, her eyes sparkling. "He's a good person." Lucas Yun was about to go crazy. His sister was infatuated with a blonde-haired guy. His first thought was to report it to his father. However, after careful consideration, he hesitated. Though busy, his father was very strict with his children. Maintaining good grades was basic. Extracurricular classes and talents were also indispensable, and occasionally they had to attend parties to meet children from other families. Q had it a little easier, but only a little. If he told their father the truth, perhaps that bit of freedom would also vanish. Lucas Yun carefully considered it and decided to remain silent. He bid his sister farewell, immediately created a secondary account, changed his gender, and befriended the person. 10 minutes later, the invitation was accepted. He intently stared at his phone, his eyes cold. His sister, though a bit naive, was still just a child. This person was definitely someone who specialized in luring minors. He had to gather evidence to put him in jail. Lucas Yun had a clear plan. First, review all posts, save any intimate photos. When he saw a newly posted Lolita dress photo, he immediately devised a plan. He pretended he wanted to buy a dress, slowly engaging in conversation. Meanwhile, he gradually laid bait, building the ideal target image for a scammer: innocent, beautiful, wealthy, emotionally deprived, and naive in love. To add realism, he drew on his own experiences, only slightly exaggerating his emotions. To build trust, he even showed off his bank account balance and, embarrassingly, took photos wearing a dress. But a month passed without any progress. The other party seemed completely unmoved by this perfect prey. Not only that, but he even affectionately patted her head, warning her of danger, accompanied by sweet compliments. This made Lucas Yun feel strange, but soon, he secretly thought, perhaps this is also a tactic. For no reason, Lucas Yun developed a jealous mentality. He spent all day busy with studying and activities, then tirelessly researched flirting techniques at night. Then, one time, he tried to call him, but was met with rejection. From then on, the other party became even more mysterious. The undeniable unease made Lucas Yun uncomfortable. Finally, he decided to find his sister to ask. Q was surprised that her brother was still concerned about this matter after so many months. She asked him in surprise, "Why are you so interested in him? Do you like him?" "Are you kidding?" Lucas Yun immediately denied it. "I'm not gay." Q was stunned, then burst into uncontrollable laughter. "What are you thinking? Didn't I tell you? She's a girl." With that, she even took out her phone to find a picture. "Look, I even have a picture here, she's so pretty." But Lucas Yun no longer heard anything. He felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Wrong, everything was wrong. There was no innocent love affair and no cunning scammer, it was just that he had misunderstood. Lucas Yun vaguely returned to his room and found a notification for a new post. He tapped on it, and his eyes suddenly widened. Amidst a field of purple and blue hydrangeas, a girl in a Lolita dress was laughing. The photo set was fresh and full of life. This model had been wearing male clothes in the previous post. Almost immediately, Lucas Yun understood. She wanted to confess. She must have realized the misunderstanding from previous conversations, but hadn't said it directly, waiting until she had finished her warnings before revealing it this way. Lucas Yun knew what he should do. He would pretend to be surprised, then ask questions, and finally feign awkwardness, gradually reducing contact. This was the best way. No one would know the truth and no one would be hurt. He could return to his old life as if nothing had ever happened. But Lucas Yun gripped his phone tightly, his heart suddenly feeling empty. End it like this, but how many skills were yet to be used? The dresses he had bought were still piled up, no one else would fit them. And in reality, every time the other party worried, he felt happy. His phone lit up with a new message. There are new products today. You can check my profile to see if you like anything. Lucas Yun stared at the message. Finally, he replied in his usual naive tone, "Wow, you even dared to wear women's clothes to boost sales, you're really amazing." That evening, at bedtime, the other party still didn't reveal the truth. Lucas Yun wished her good night, reassuring himself that he had to go to sleep on time. His restless dream shattered. Sometimes it was an intimate image with another person, sometimes a garden of hydrangeas. He even dreamt that his sister brought that person home and introduced them as his girlfriend. He got angry, dragged that person into the bathroom. Why the bathroom? He didn't know. Dreams were inherently illogical. That person leaned against the sink, behind them a blurred mirror. She said nothing, just smiled and raised her hand as if stroking a puppy, gently patting his head. "You're still so young." A meaningless statement, but it annoyed him. Young where? They were only 2 years apart. Why did she always act so experienced? And comparatively, Lucas Yun hung his head, grabbed her wrist, then bent down and pressed his face against her neck. It was as if he was both venting his anger and sulking. He lightly bit her collarbone. As he bit, Lucas Yun thought, "I'm taller than her, my hands are bigger, I should be the one worrying about her." Before dawn, Lucas Yun's eyes snapped open. His face was ashen as he rushed into the bathroom. A few minutes later, he emerged with a cold body. The mirror clearly reflected his soaking wet hair, pale skin, and deep black eyes. The person in the mirror stared at him indifferently, like a demon freshly emerged from the water. After a long while, the demon spoke. "It's you. You're the scoundrel, the corrupt, the animal. You're the only liar." Lucas Yun recounted everything. I suspected he spoke quickly, so I wouldn't have time to burst out laughing, but I still laughed. There's no way I can listen to a story about a brother desperately wearing a dress for money without laughing. Lucas Yun silently watched me laugh, his expression shifting from bewildered to helpless. Finally, he tapped a few times on his phone, and a sticker of a rabbit peeking its head out appeared, accompanied by a message. Done laughing, not angry anymore. My mood was like a spring lake touched by a gentle breeze, stirring soft ripples. How could I be angry? I wanted to sigh again because my gender boundaries were becoming increasingly blurred. Knowing he hadn't intended it, of course, I was no longer angry, but I still found it strange. The time you posted new product pictures, that was clearly a good opportunity. Why didn't you use it to explain? Lucas Yun stared at me, his eyes holding many things I didn't quite understand. You should know why I didn't say anything, right? Because, he asked softly, that night you were silent too, weren't you? I froze, unable to refute him. He put his hand on the bed and leaned closer, then lowered his voice. I was afraid you'd be angry, afraid you wouldn't like me and would break up with me. We were just online friends. If I was deleted, I wouldn't be able to meet you again. His voice was calm but held a hint of sadness. Actually, even without the robbery, I would have confessed after everything was over. I just wanted at least not to meet and then immediately part ways, to leave behind some beautiful memories. That's why I even specially asked my sister to help with the disguise. My sister was the one who did the makeup. I couldn't help but ask in surprise, "So, how did she react?" He sighed, a gloomy expression on his face. She laughed so hard she practically rolled on the floor. I burst out laughing. Lucas Yun looked at me with a resentful expression, as if blaming me. I laughed out loud again. Lucas Yun glared at me, his eyes full of resentment, as if blaming me. I quickly covered my mouth and gestured for him to continue. Then, he paused for a moment. Then you know everything that happened. I've always genuinely hoped for an opportunity to meet you to explain. Text conveys too little information. No matter how I said it, it wouldn't be sincere. I didn't want you to misunderstand, but you always rejected me. At this point, he lowered his eyes. So, I'm very sorry, I lied a second time. My dad really wanted me to study abroad, but I refused. I froze, suddenly feeling very strange. I asked, which university did you end up choosing? He didn't answer, just turned his face away and continued speaking. My third lie was my voice. Actually, there was nothing wrong with it. I just said I was sick because I was afraid you'd find out too soon. I was so amused I couldn't even cry. By your calculations, when would this ever end? To hide one lie about cross-dressing as a girl, you must have needed countless other lies to cover it up. Yet, Lucas Yun shook his head and calmly replied, "No more. If you don't believe me, you can question me freely." I looked at him, feeling uneasy. After taking a deep breath, I slowly asked, "Today, after the movie, you held my hand and said you were afraid we'd get lost. Was that true?" It was true. Lucas Yun looked at me frankly, without any intention of avoiding or feeling guilty. Not knowing how to do makeup was true, being scared of horror movies was true, and worrying about getting lost was also true. But, he said, I truly had an intention when I prepared all this. He sat close to the bed, leaning slightly, and gently placed his hand on my wrist. Warmth spread from where our skin touched, carrying a slight sensation of intrusion. Because wanting to hold your hand was true, wanting to be close to you was true, and, he looked straight at me, each word clear, that I like you is also true. I recoiled my hand, looking at him with disbelief. Are you that surprised? He observed my expression, speaking to himself. It's true, after all, this is our first official meeting. He hadn't intended to say it so soon, but he realized if he didn't speak up, I would always see him as a little sister. I turned away, my voice firm. Initially, that's how it was supposed to be. The other party was silent. Just when I thought he understood, he unexpectedly leaned in close to my ear. Nuna, he chuckled softly. Don't you prefer it when I call you that? I turned my head, my bewildered expression meeting his eyes, which were full of laughter. You, I pushed him away, temporarily at a loss for words. Do you know what you're saying? Lucas Yun laughed, nodding. I know, don't you? It seems you don't like this form of address. It's okay, he replied easily. I'll change it. Senior Ha, he smiled brightly. For the next 2 years, we can finally meet frequently. When I hobbled on my cane and knocked on my dorm room door, everyone was astonished. They crowded around, eagerly asking, This is our upright dorm leader, Ha. Ha, no way. Even if she found out you were cross-dressing, there's no way she would have beaten you up so badly. She didn't do it. I ran into a robber on the way, I said, trying to save face. Wow, acting heroically. That little sister must be totally infatuated with you now. Haha, she really loves me to death. I forced a laugh, my face stone cold. But he's a guy. This was the friend who was always up to date on gossip. Oh, forget about that. Let's admire the handsome freshman. I even have a picture. I glanced at the photo, closed my eyes, my heart feeling numb, and whispered, That's him. The entire room immediately fell silent, not a single word uttered. I leisurely took care of my personal hygiene, then laboriously climbed into bed. I thought after all this I wouldn't be able to sleep. But perhaps due to sheer exhaustion, I quickly drifted into a dream. The dream scene was familiar. It was the first time I met Q at a cosplay event. She was still hugging a doll, running towards me, only this time when she looked up, it was Lucas Yun's face. He held a plush doll in one hand, wiping away tears with the other, his words even more heartbreaking. I know I made a mistake, he sobbed. Please don't abandon me and our child. I shook my head vigorously. Suddenly, my eyes flew open, startled awake. Everyone was still asleep. I looked at the clock, 6:50 a.m. The dorm room was quiet. I stared at the ceiling, finally having to think about Lucas Yun. In truth, not a few people, both male and female, had confessed to me, but no one had troubled me quite like this. After all, the reason was still Celeste, or rather, Lucas Yun was special to me. Otherwise, how could we have talked for 2 whole years? How could I willingly cross-dress as a boy to meet him? How could I tolerate his little quirks? How could I get angry and then relent? Even when his gender changed, this specialness didn't change at all. The only thing that changed was his gender, not the person. He was still the same, exceptionally clingy, exceptionally endearing, exceptionally worrying, and exceptionally awkward, making people feel utterly helpless. Ring ring, my alarm clock rang, reminding me that I had an 8:00 a.m. class. I pulled my blanket over my head, wanting to pretend to be dead. I was certain that as soon as I left the room, I would immediately run into someone. But even before I left the door, my roommate saw Luca's Yun from the balcony. Under everyone's curious gazes, I sighed and left the room with my cane. Luca's Yun stood not far away, his appearance and attire showing meticulous care. He held a box of breakfast in his hand, and next to him was a bicycle, just like in a school romance drama. I paused, not approaching, and directly waved. Luca's Yun visibly brightened and ran over. More than half of my rejections had reached my lips but were swallowed back down. I asked somewhat helplessly, "Are you planning to do this every day from now on?" "You don't like it." He didn't hesitate, nodding. "Then next time I'll drive." "I'm sorry," I said sincerely. "Please keep riding your bike. Just accept it for now, okay?" He smiled. "When your leg heals, I'll walk here." "Don't I have any other options?" Luca's Yun looked at me. After a moment, he tried to appear calm as he replied, "Of course I do. When you tell me you have a boyfriend, I won't come anymore. But before that," he gently touched my finger, "I won't stop pursuing you." On both sides of the road, plane trees cast cool shadows. I felt too tired sitting still on the bike, so I wrapped my arms around Luca's Yun's waist. The bicycle, which had been going straight, suddenly swerved, drawing a curve. I looked up and saw his ears flush pink. The wind blew past my eyes, and I chuckled, thinking to myself, "Damn it,